Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. These days you see more and more drones everywhere. Flying a drone is really fun, no doubt. But if you really want to enjoy it in long term, it's not just about flying. It's about getting great footage and creating stunning results. So what does it take to capture great drone footage and turn them into high quality videos? That's exactly what I will show you in this video. So let's get started. I structured this video in 5 different parts, starting with preparing your drone, to the use of ND filters and shooting the clips with your drone. And then we head over to the editing software. In my case, it will be Adobe Premiere Pro, where I will guide you through the key steps, setting up your project, cutting your footage and making your videos truly cinematic. In the first step, you have to decide whether you want to shoot in the auto mode or in the manual mode. With the auto settings, you can choose the frame rate and the resolution, or if you want to shoot in slow motion by yourself. Also, the color profile can be set manually, so you can decide whether you want to shoot in HLG, D-Log-M or normal mode. All other settings are fixed and will be adjusted by the drone itself. For shots in easy daylight situations, this option will be fine, but when it comes to evening shots or shots in heavy lighting situations, you have to choose the manual mode to achieve the best results possible. With the manual mode, you have all options on your side. You can choose the frame rate, in this case 30 FPS for normal shots, and a shutter speed of 1/60. Choose always a shutter speed which doubles your frame rate. In this case 30 FPS, and your shutter speed will be 1/60. If you shoot in 60 FPS, your shutter speed will be 1/120. This is necessary to receive a good motion blur in your videos. With a shutter speed which is too high, your videos can look choppy and unnatural. And with a shutter speed which is too low, your videos can appear with too much motion blur. I always choose the highest resolution of 4K because you get the best results out of it. And for most of the shots, I shoot in the D-Log-M color profile to get more flexibility when it comes to color correction and color grading in post. The next point is a very important point. It is white balance. Turn off auto white balance and set it manually. When you're flying in auto mode, the drone will adjust the white balance automatically, depending on the lighting conditions, and this can destroy your video. Sometimes setting the right white balance can be tricky, especially in bright sunlight situations. What I sometimes do is click on auto white balance to get a quick starting point, and then I switch back to manual to fine-tune it. One more important point, ISO. Try to keep your ISO as low as possible. With the R3S, I was able to shoot in ISO 400 without getting too much grain in my footage. But if you push it higher, like ISO 800, you will definitely start noticing noise in your shots. Flying in the manual mode makes it necessary to use ND filters. ND filters act like sunglasses for your camera. And you need them because most drones have a fixed aperture, meaning you can't adjust it to control the amount of light entering the lens. To compensate this, the use of ND filters in this case are essential. So look for the correct filter to not underexpose or overexpose your video. I mostly overexpose to a maximum of 1 stop, depending on the conditions. For example, if you have a bright sky against the sun or if you have strong reflections. There's one more aspect when it comes to choosing the correct ND filters. I use the Bright Day filter set from Freewell, and these filters are polarized, which means these filters are reducing reflections from objects. When it comes to shooting your drone footage, you can't really do something wrong. But there's one common mistake beginners often do. Always flying from a high position. While it might look cool at first, it often ends up in very static and slow shots. Instead, try flying closer to objects. This way you add more movement and depth to your shots, making them much more dynamic and engaging. For most of these shots, I've used the DJI Air 3S or the previous model, the DJI Air 3. I really love flying with this drone because it absolutely matches my needs. Both drones have a dual camera systems, so you have a wide angle lens and also a telecamera lens, which makes it possible to get great shots in nearly every situation. Yeah, there's actually nothing more to say. I can really recommend this drone, so if you want to buy one, this is a good option. So the next step will be the editing part, and therefore we have to move over to the software, Premiere Pro. So, as soon as we were able to install Premiere Pro on our Mac or PC, we can go on with the first step, which will be bring the footage to our project. To do this, we can simply drag and drop the footage that we want to edit from our folder to our project monitor. I already did this. As you can see, I have a folder called Air3S with 3 different clips. And the next step in preparation for our project will be we have to create a new sequence. To do that, we have 2 options. Option 1 will be to just drag and drop one clip to our timeline, release it, and then a new sequence will be created. And the other option will be to just click on this little icon here, new item, and say sequence. Head over to settings and choose the right settings that you need. In our case, we need 30 FPS in the frame size of 3840 by 2160, which is 16 by 9. And this is the standard aspect ratio for YouTube videos. And also make sure that you have maximum bit depth and maximum render quality enabled. Then you can give your sequence a name, I call it test. And when we click on OK, the new sequence will be created. I undo this because I already created a sequence. I will open it and here we go. So to start with our edit, we have to choose the file that we want to edit by double clicking on it, and then you will see it on the source monitor, and if you slide it from the left to the right with the playhead, you see what's going on in this video. To set the point where we want to start, we set an in point. You can do this by clicking on the I on your keyboard, and then an in point will be created, and we move over to the point where we want to stop. This will be the part where Lucas jumps in the water. So like this, we say O on our keyboard, and then we just drag and drop this part of the video to our timeline. We're gonna do this with our other clips too. We have this little ship here in Thailand. We search for the endpoint, which will be like here, and the out point will be like this here. Drag and drop it to the timeline. And the last video, this is a video of a street in Munich. We say in here and out there. Drag and drop, and everything is on our timeline. If you want to extend one clip, you can just go to the end of the clip and pull it to the right. So for the next step, we have to make sure that we have 2 windows opened in our project. And the first one will be the Lumetri color panel, and the second one will be the Lumetri scopes panel. If you don't see it, just go on window and make sure that Lumetri scopes and Lumetri colors are enabled. Like I said, I always shoot my drone footage in the flat color profile, and in this case it is the D-Log-M color profile from DJI. To bring that back to the normal Rec. 709 standard, we have to apply a correction LUT on our clips. And to do that, we go over to the basic correction part of our Lumetri color panel and go on Input LUT, click on it and select the LUT that we need. In this case, it is the DJI Air 3 D-Log-M 2 Rec. 709 LUT. If you don't see it here, you can manually edit by clicking on the browse button and select the cube file that we need. Open it, and then we have the .cube file applied to our first clip. We have to do this for all the clips. DJI Air 3 D-Log-M 2 Rec. 709. Same here. So if you don't know where to get the LUTs, I'm gonna put the link in the description where you can download it. So now we can start with the color correction part. And to do that, we click on the clip that we want to start with. I take this one. And now we have to talk about the lumetri scopes. For our edits, we need the Luma waveform and the RGB parade. Here you can see a scale from 0 to 100. 100 represents the brightest part of our footage and 0 is representing the darkest parts of our image. And what we have to do is to bring our waveform in between of those two values. And we can do this by going over to the lumetri color panel and tweaking the exposure slider a little bit to the right, which increases the brightness of our clip. Not too much, just so far that we stay under the 100 value. And we go to the blacks, make sure that we just hit the 0 line, but not too much. And bring the whites a little bit up, that we get a little bit more light in it. Let's check the highlights. Yeah, a little bit more of the highlights. Shadows. Yeah, we can leave the shadows about here. This is fine for this clip. And then we're gonna do the adjustments for the other clips too. The vote clip, bring down the blacks a little bit. Increase the whites. Not too much, also just a little bit here. We increase, in this case, the highlights a little bit and the shadows to get a little bit more contrast. So the last one, we go a little bit to the front to see the shadows. Bring up the whites, the blacks, shadows. We increase it a bit to get more details into the shadows. And maybe a little bit more highlights. Yeah, that should be fine. So now to the RGB parade. The RGB parade represents the color tone of our clips. And we need to check if all colors are available in the same ratio. You can see this when you check it here. The red, the green and the blue part are about on the same level. So when I turn the temperature down, you can see that we increase the amount of the blues and decrease the amount of the reds. So this would be a too cool color tone in our clip. I increase it again and make it warmer, and you see that we get too much reds in it and the blue are decreasing. So in this case, it's actually quite a good result. We go over to the next clip. We have a good result too, and this one is also pretty fine. Starting from this point, we are ready to hop over to the color grading part. To cover all the clips with the same color grading settings, I often use an adjustment layer, and you can click on this little icon here again and say adjustment layer. Okay, and now we have an adjustment layer in our project. We can drag and drop it to the timeline, extend it to the length of our clips. And now you see that we have the adjustment layer over our clips, and this means every change that we make on this adjustment layer will be resulting in our clips that are below. So now we need the curves tab in our lumetri color panel. Click on it and you see that we have some panels here. The first one that we need is the hue versus saturation panel. I sometimes like it to desaturate the greens, which gives a moody touch. So what we're gonna do is click on the color picker tool, go over to our program monitor and click on the color that we want to edit. In this case, we want to edit the greens. So we click on this area. I'm gonna extend this a little bit to get more of a range. And now we drag it down to reduce the green saturation. And you can already see that the greens are moody. At the same time, I make adjustments at the green color. So click on the color picker tool again, choose the green color and maybe extend it a little bit more. Tweak it up to get a little bit more red tones in our greens. yeah, it's actually quite a good result. We can check the before and after if we turn off the curves and turn it on again. So I think that already looks quite cool. One last thing I often do is I want to avoid to have the changes in the darkest part of our clip, and therefore I reduce the luma versus saturation curve in the darkest areas. The left side indicates the darker parts and the right side indicates the brighter parts. So all these color grading adjustments are optional, so if you want to receive another result, feel free to do this. So as our drone files actually don't have audio, we can bring a music clip to our timeline too and match the clips to our audio file. And to do this, we double click on this audio file and we see the waveform here. And we can search for a good part. Yeah, this is good. We start here, set an in point and an out point. Bring this to our timeline. We can also extend it to the length of our clips if we need it. And then we can just say we want to make the change of the clip here. Head over to our ripple edit tool, click the command button on our keyboard and slide it to the position where our playhead is. Start again. Okay, a little bit more, maybe here. Do it over there, and now we matched it to the beats of our audio file. Yeah, that's it for our editing part. And now you want to export your video. Therefore we head over to export and make sure that we have the correct settings. We want to export it in 4K and H.265. Make sure to have render at maximum depth. Use maximum render quality enabled. If you want to export it for your YouTube channel, make sure that you have a bitrate of around 40 to 45. And finally we need one more LUT to export our video, the gamma compensation LUT. When exporting footage in Premiere Pro, colors can look washed out due to gamma shifts, especially on platforms like YouTube or Instagram. And therefore we need the gamma compensation LUT to ensure that we have the same contrast on all devices. You can add this LUT by clicking on Effects and say Lumetri Lookup. Choose the LUT you want to have, select, go to the cube file, choose it, open it, and it will automatically apply it. Also here, if you don't know where to find it, I'm gonna put the link in the description. And now just click on export and voila, that's it. Whew. This is my basic workflow when it comes to editing drone footage. You can really go wild with editing, color grading or sound design, but it all comes down to practice. Practice flying drone, practice editing, practice flying drone, practice editing, and so on, you know what I mean. The more you experiment and repeating the process, the better your footage will get over time. It really takes effort, but if you want to enjoy both flying your drone and your final results, it's absolutely worth it. If there's a specific part of this video you want me to dive deeper into, let me know this in the comments. Maybe I will make another video on that topic. I also hope that this video gave you an idea of what's possible with drone footage and how much you can get out of it. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more. So, see you in the next one and bye bye.